Hello there guys, what's up? Welcome to Herocross Plays, and boy do I have a deck unboxing for you guys. Today's video is Legendary Battle Deck, Lugia. Some of you guys know this, my favourite Pokemon of the Legendary Birds out of the 5 is Lugia. And I picked this up online pretty cheap, found this off of eBay. And it's a Lugia EX deck. Now I'm not too sure what's in it, but I do know that it combines the use of Blissey and Psychic type Pokemon, so hopefully this will be something for you guys. So without further ado, I got my coffee on the side there. Let's do this. Okay guys, so here we have the deck. I've taken it up the box. We also have a pretty cool Lugia coin here. It looks pretty cool, solid. I don't know if you can see the reflection there. And obviously we have the deck box itself, which just has Legendary Battle Deck and a picture of Lugia on the front with the written topography on the sides. But that's not what you want to see, is that we also have a leaflet and the code card, which I might do a giveaway for, who knows. Not to hype this up too much. But here we go. So first of all, we have the 2 copies of Lugia EX, which has the attack Error Ball and Deep Hurricane. Looks pretty powerful. Apologies if the lighting's a bit off, but you know, it's a pretty cool EX, pretty cool staple card, and obviously is the backbone of the deck in that it's the most powerful card in the deck. Next up we have Golurk. I do have this card somewhere. It has 130 hit points with the moves Wreck and Golurk Hammer. Pretty staple card. That gets bolstered with some of the field cards or stadium cards. Then we have 3 copies of Golurk with Smash Punch. Again, you need it to evolve into Golurk, that's the only reason it's in there. Then we have 2 copies of Blissey with the move Double Edge with the ability Soft Boiled. Pretty standard stuff. Kind of a beat stick, I guess, can take quite a few hits. It's also a tank as well. And with the way this deck runs, you can replenish the hit points lost on this Pokemon, put them back on it. So it's pretty cool, from what I remember. I've had a quick look at this deck, so I know what's in it. We have Chansey, which has Nap and Lucky Punch. Again, similar to Golurk and Golett, you pretty much have Chansey to evolve into Blissey. That's pretty much what it's for. Then we have this card, which I don't have until now, which is Cresselia, which has the ability My Way and the attack Moonlight Gain, which heals 20 damage and does 70. So a pretty cool Psychic type Pokemon, 110 hit points. Not something you'd use in a major deck, but for a structured build, I'm pretty happy with this. This card I love. I love Mr. Mime, he's awesome. 70 hit points with the ability Bench Barrier. I remember this from old decks, and Psybolt. If you've seen my old deck profiles, this was a staple in most of those decks. Sigilyph. Gen 5 Pokemon, I remember this, with 90 hit points with the ability Safeguard and the attack Psychic. So it pretty much benches EX damage and negates that, so that's pretty cool. I would recommend this for most decks. You want to bench this, you don't really want to use it for anything else. 2 copies of Skarmory with the attack Call for Family, which is not really an attack, it's more of a aid, I guess, and Blow Through, which sounds quite funny actually, based on my pure sense of humour. 100 hit points, crazy artwork. Skarmory is one of my favourite Pokemon of all time. It's kind of funny to see Skarmory enjoying himself, it really is kind of cool there. Next up, we have 2 copies of Girafarig with the attack Tackle and Psybite. Nothing special here, but for a structure deck you kind of need creatures, and that's it for the creatures. Speaking of creatures, then we have 4 stadium cards. First up, we have Aspertia City Gym, which for each colourless Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, gain 20 hit points, so this just bolsters them, that's what it's there for. 2 copies of Dimension Valley. Each Psychic Pokemon's attacks, both yours and your opponent's, cost a colour energy less, so essentially just 1 less energy, essentially. When we move on to the stadium cards, we have 2 copies of Professor Juniper. You discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Really cool old school card from Gen 5, really like it. We have another cool card, which is Winona. You search your deck for up to 3 colourless Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Really good for this deck because it allows you to search out Lugia, which is very handy if I do say so. Next up, we have a copy of Skylar. You search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck afterwards. Pretty cool card, another Gen 5 card. Next up, we have N. You guys know I'm not really a massive fan of this card. I think it's an early game card. You want to play it when you have the most amount of prize cards. But, you know, it's a solid card to have, I guess. I'm not a big fan of it, but I just didn't like N from Gen 5. Again, I wasn't a big Gen 5 fan, much as I'm not a big fan of Sun and Moon. Sorry if you didn't know that. Bianca. Draw until you have 6 cards in your hands. She's more of a top-up card. I love the artwork more than the reprinted version. I think this is better artwork. Then we have that no-good Dillhole Sharon, or Charon. You draw 3 cards. Look at that smug prick. Anyway, next up we have Professor Birch's Observations. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Flip a coin if heads, draw 7, if tails, draw 4. So no real true downside, you just draw 3 less if it's tails. Next up on the Stadium roster, we have Pokemon Fan Club. You search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle your deck afterwards. Then we have Shauna. You shuffle your deck into your hands. No, you don't. You shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5 cards. That would be bizarre. And then last but certainly not least is Lysander, who's kind of the anti-hero of Gen 6, as I may have previously mentioned. Now we move on to the item cards. We have 2 Ultra Balls. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards, you can't play this card. That's a given. You search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck afterwards. So similar to Dive Ball, except it's not just water you can search out with Ultra Ball, it's pretty much any Pokemon in the deck. In fact, it is any Pokemon with the deck. Then we have a single switch, so obviously just Lysander but in item form. Super Odd, shuffle 3 of any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile back into your deck. That's pretty cool. I do like this card. Next we have Random Receiver. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a supporter card, put it in your hand, and shuffle the rest of the cards back into your deck. So this pretty much just lets you search out a supporter card, but it's the next supporter card you find. You don't get a choice, really. Next up, Escape Rope. A pretty cool card. Looks like a kind of snake thing based on the picture that it's moving. Could be the Mega Evolution to Arbok, could be spoilers here. Then we have 2 copies of Pokemon Communication. You reveal a Pokemon in your hand, put it on the top of your deck, and if you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's pretty much a switch for a switch, essentially an eye for an eye. With these cards, you pretty much just swap out the top card of your deck for one in your hand, basically. Something like that. Professor's Letter, pretty much good for energy reconnaissance or energy searching. And then we have finally a Versus Seeker. You get to put a support card from your discard pile into your hands. Then we move on to the final section, which is the energies, and obviously we have 3 double colorless energy. This is pretty much for Lugia EX. I wouldn't recommend putting it on anything else. Maybe Blissey if you can't set up your Lugia attacks in time. That would probably be what I'd recommend. And then obviously, as I did with the water deck, everything else is psychic energy, with most of them being common, but you do get the odd hollow ones, which, as I've said before, is nice. And that's the Lugia deck. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I've been Heracross Plays, and I'll see you next time.